This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Hey, it's Christina.
Hey, it's Jen.
Hey, it's Kate.
Real Estate Misfit Moms. Can you get, because I'm a lender, I don't know. Can you get title insurance if you don't have a loan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, and cash deals, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I've had people ask me, "Oh, it's cash. Do we have to go to title?"
Like, you want one?
I'm like,
would.
You would. I mean,
Yeah.
you should for
Yeah.
sure.
And especially, like, guys, if you've got somebody that's like, well, and y'all may not do this because it typically doesn't happen when something's being listed and sold, but like people like go in and be like, oh, I'm going to buy this from my friend because she's having a hard time making her payments, so I'm just going to buy it directly from her. Well, guess what? If she's having a hard time making her house payments for the place where she lives, the roof over her head, she's probably not paying her other stuff either.
No.
Right.
So there's a good chance that
There's a lien.
that there are other liens that have attached to their property, and if you don't do the title work, and then you're like, oh, I bought this from so and so, I see a note, whatever, because some notes are still assumable.
Yep.
So they've assumed the note, and then put, I don't know, randomly $40,000 worth of kitchen cabinets in the property. And this is very specific for a reason. And then they find out, oh my gosh, like she is so upside down in this house, it's not worth it. She wasn't making all these payments, and so now
Cabinet guy has a lien. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Oh.
But there is another lender that wasn't being paid, and now they're going to try to foreclose.
Nightmare.
On
So
the
if
property. She
I-
had 2 liens on that property.
That's
Was
crazy.
that Hot Crotches?
No.
He had one like that.
Yeah.
Hot Crotch is an investor client of mine. His last name is very hard to say, and the title company used to call him Hot Crotch. Take that as you want.
Because he's very cute.
He's like 5'4",
Oh,
but he's cute. He's my client. I've had him for years. I mean, I think he's been my client for like 7 years.
His name actually looks like Hot Crotch.
Yes.
Okay.
Like
You didn't just
I don't know.
pull that out of
I didn't just pull it out of thin air.
No, but that's what we call him, and he knows that. Like, he knows.
Because you told him.
I did, but
I was mortified.
He laughed. He thought it was so funny. It's fine, whatever. But he did a deal like that where when we ended up taking it, he buys pre-foreclosures.
Gotcha.
And, like, takes them and buys, like, makes their payment up. They deed over. They become tenants. Tenants don't pay. He evicts. It's a whole thing.
Right.
He's been doing it for years.
It's very risky.
It is. This one didn't work out for him.
Yeah.
Bought the house. We went to put it on the market. And with him, I always make him open title before we list. I'm like, we need to go ahead and get going. As we're doing this, there's like multiple liens on this house. And the flip is already done.
Oh, so.
Ooh, that's a negative investment.
Yeah.
It ended up being where it hurt him. He walked away with a little bit of cash, not as much as he normally would, but he was like, I should probably have them look into these before I even buy. I'm like, yeah, ding dong. Make a connection with a title company and give them your
How do you
business.
do that?
And I do that. I bring my investors and I'm like, I want you to trust this person. And it's like, this is your team. And so my investors will only, like, I have an investor that will only talk to Tamron. Yes. He will only have Tamron research his properties. He loves Tamron. He thinks that she, like, walks on water. And he will only, and he was my client, and he had been through 2 other title companies. And when Tamron moved from one title company to Hatco, he was like, I'm following her. She will be the only one that touches my files. So then I have to call the escrow officer there and say, hey,
It ain't got nothing to do with you.
it has nothing to do with you. It's her. He loves her. He knows her. And then I had to call the new escrow officer team and say, it has to be the same person every time. And if he has a question, it can only be you or Tamron, and that's it. Because that is just investor.
Trust.
Yes, trust. Investors
Well, it makes
don't.
sense.
Investors throw out a lot of money, and they don't trust a lot of people. And so it's trust. And so he has religiously come back and closed and done his stuff.
I haven't seen him in a minute though.
He
or
was-
Hot Crotch, as a matter of
He
fact.
was just there not long ago.
And he didn't see me. So
Uh,
Hot is on a hold. He's not buying.
I was
right now.
I was at the end of my pregnancy when I saw him, but at title, I was closing on something else, and he walked in, and I don't even think he recognized that I was pregnant.
oh, maybe
I mean,
not.
that's
Like,
totally
he's not-
his personality.
Yeah.
But
he's good people.
he's super good people.
But like buyers clients, anybody can go into a title company and ask for their property to be researched.
And
To
is that
know.
something you go in and pay like a fee for? How does that work? Like, can somebody
Okay.
just walk in?
So if we are receiving a contract and we're going to be issuing a title policy, then it's basically a percentage of the sales price. Like that's what we're going to get at closing.
Right.
So no one has to like front the money for it.
Mhm.
If you have inherited a piece of property and you want to make sure that everything is copacetic, and we will still do that. It's $300 for a title letter plus tax. If we're having to do like extensive research, it's $300 an hour.
Yikes.
I don't get that money. Just let me just go ahead and throw that out there. Like I don't actually earn that money. In fact, like I make basically the same money no matter what I'm researching.
Right.
But if someone outside wants to come in and buy that, like we can do that.
I even tell my clients, like, say their dad is buying the property in cash, and then after closing, son was going to sell all of his cattle off, and then we'll have the cash and we'll pay dad back, but needs it deeded in his name. So we write the contract like Joe Schmo and or assigns to dad. Then after closing, son's going to pay dad back. Needs to get deeded into his name. I always tell them, you need to go back to the same title company and
Yeah.
just have them formally deed that over to you and do it the right way. That way you know that it's done right, because it has been done where people just, you can print stuff offline and you can
Yeah.
deed it over, but typically it doesn't fully deed over. And so I've had it where they're like, well, I deeded it over. And I'm like, well, how'd you do it? And they send me the paperwork and it doesn't stand up. And so then dad and son, or mom and son, or whoever is in on the property, whoever bought it for them first, still has interest and ownership in the property.
It's messy.
Yeah.
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 So always use title. Always.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're
Even
your
owner
best
finance.
friend. And
Yep.
the fees, everyone's like, well, if I go to a different title company, is it cheaper? The fees are like federally,
So title insurance
Sure,
is the
it's
same
same-
no matter where you go.
yes.
Right.
For the actual title policy, you're gonna pay the same price
Correct.
no matter where you go. Typically, escrow fees can fluctuate, not by much, because it's a competitive
I feel
market,
like they
right?
Yeah.
don't a lot.
They don't.
No.
No, they don't. They kind of stay in line. Like even
Right.
like every part of it, like from one title company to the other, your escrow fees on both sides are going to be close to the same, because let's face it, like you guys, like y'all talk, like y'all develop a relationship with a closer, and if one of you says, well, like they just raised their rates, for escrow fees to $500 per side, like that's going to be like pretty much standard,
Right.
because we
We still are small.
right.
We all talk. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if someone says, listen, like if it's a regular investor and I'm going to be doing a lot of their stuff,
Yeah.
like, I'm only going to charge them this much for my
Gotcha.
escrow fee. So then you may go to another title company and mention that. And, the title company may look, like how much business is this person doing, and maybe we want to be competitive to try to earn their business, because really and truly where you're getting a difference from one place to another is going to be purely in professionalism and customer service, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
And they
that's
make
really
a
the only place.
difference.
Yeah, that's the only place that we can excel. Like,
Yeah.
I have the power to
Right.
provide the best
Go
customer
above and
service.
beyond.
Right.
Because you do always.
I try. I try.
You don't
No,
try.
No,
you
you really do.
You really
100%.
succeed 150 bajillion %.
Thanks, guys.
I follow
love
you
y'all.
to the end of the
I love y'all
end of the
too.
world.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Thank
Like
you so
the
much.
end of the
Well,
world.
And on our side of things, like as a lender, if I get a contract, I'm like, shit. When you see, and it's the truth.
It's
when you
certain
see
title companies.
a certain title company,
Yeah.
and it's that way for any party to the transaction.
Yes.
Don't let me lie. I do that with realtors, and I do that with,
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah.
But
Definitely when
sometimes
she sees my
when
name.
you see, like, we all know, if you are out of county, there are certain counties around our area
Yep.
that we all would rather eat
Struggle.
our toenails for dinner every night.
Yes.
then go there. They're
But they're good
horrible.
people
Or use
there.
their
They're
title
really good
company.
people there.
They're
They're
good
nice.
people there. It's just they just don't have the same tools. They're
Right.
not as-
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're not as powerful as what we have in McLennan. We're very blessed in McLennan County.
So
to
instead of a
have-
10-day cash
we
close,
have.
you're 30-day cash close.
Yeah,
Because
and it's
Yeah, at
and it's it's a lot of times you get told that date on the contract is really great, but I set as the escrow officer, I'm setting your closing date because
Right.
I have a stack that is up to my head from the floor,
Right.
and yours is now on the bottom.
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they
I've
don't
actually
have the
said that.
powerhouse team.
Well, so at Home Abstract, we have a full title plant in our building. So, like, I can go look up the history to a piece of property without having to leave my building. Like, I mean,
Oh.
Oh,
they're,
I don't think
they're-
I knew that.
Yeah, they're super cool. It's on like index cards. We have a whole vault that's a like
It's
a
still
fire-rated
paper?
vault.
Can we see it? Can we do a tour? Can we have a field trip?
She's like, I don't
Yeah.
think.
I wanna
and
see
you
it.
can
Are
come
you
see it.
insured? Can
It's
you
cool. Like we have maps.
That's
Like it's
neat.
really cool. Yeah,
I didn't
anytime
know
y'all
that.
are in, you'll just be like, hey, we want to see the vault.
Yeah.
Can we go to the vault, please?
And I'll go, David, I gotta take these girls to the vault because
That's
it's
cool.
really
And
cool.
I
They're
also
interested.
need the trail mix and the warm cookies.
Right?
Yeah, the
Trail
trail
mix
mix is legit, y'all.
Isn't it?
I'm
It's-
so glad y'all started doing that.
I
Yeah.
order it from her and she delivers it to my house so I can put it
Yeah.
in closing gifts now.
She makes big bags too, by the way.
She does.
And I
you don't have
called
to get
her.
spicy, but it's really, really
But it's
good.
not spicy.
It's not that
It's
spicy.
not that spicy.
And I
no,
don't
y'all.
like spicy, but
She does have a regular one that I have
Yeah.
gotten. I get half and half when I order it, but she's like right by the Mammoth Preserve
Yeah.
or whatever.
Oh,
That's where
good
her
stuff.
business is out of.
It's called Granny's
Granny's
Granny's something.
trail mix or something. I don't
So
know.
freaking
But
good,
it's
y'all.
so good.
so stinking
I mean,
good.
every time I go to Home Abstract, instead of using ones that I bought, I always take 2 off and put it in my closing
Yeah.
gifts.
I do it too. I'm like,
We're fine with that.
It's
Like,
the
okay.
best.
It is.
It
the
is so
best.
good.
It's one of the that was like one of the best moves ever.
Yes.
Like it's bad if you're trying to like cut cards like I
Yeah,
am. Like
oh.
I haven't had any in a long time.
it's so
And I have to
good,
walk
though.
past it every day, and I'm like, I don't love you.
But I
don't
do love you.
Yeah,
But
My
I
favorite
want
is
it
like that.
when I walk
Yeah.
into closing and the people have kids and the kids are driving them crazy. I'm like, look, there's cookies on the table, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
parents are like,
I hate you.
I really loved you until this exact moment. I'm like, not my
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
not my kid.
And Kaisley bakes those cookies every morning. Kaisley's the front desk receptionist, and so every morning when I walk in and I haven't eaten breakfast,
It's fresh.
I'm like, warm cookies. It smells so good.
Yeah.
It's just
But
cozy
y'all,
smelling.
For legit, like after I started working there, I gained like 35 pounds.
From the cookies.
And the trail mix.
Oh, yeah. But
Like
I
cookies
really-
for breakfast, trail mix for lunch.
The
Like,
cookies
you
are
know.
so good. They're so
Yeah,
warm.
they are.
I'm a
I feel like
cookie
at some
person.
point I would be done with the cookies. I'm not sure that I'd ever be done with trail mix though. I'm more of a salty person though. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Truth.
Yeah.
yeah. That was good. That was real good. That was real good.
But in moral of the story, get a survey and get title insurance.
Yeah.
Yep, get
And
that.
use
Find a
Taxi.
title person you trust.
Use Hatco. Hashtag
Yeah.
Tamron.
Yes.
Yeah.
Find Tamron.
Matters hugely.
Yep. I'll be there until I die. I'll probably die at my desk.
Don't do that.
poor
They'll
husband.
find me the next morning.
You really like what you
Whoever
do,
comes in,
clearly.
I'm sorry.
Little body sitting there.
And they'll be like, she worked herself to death, like we saw it coming.
Well,
But
it's the worst is like, I just, because I'm comfortable with like Tamron and the team, like I just, especially when the team was at the same building as yours, like I would just like wave to the receptionist and just
Yeah,
like walk on
on
back.
in.
I just
Yeah.
walk on back, start making copies of their license. And like, I remember when I first like transitioned, there's a whole team that were like, who is this human that is
Yeah.
back here? And I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm Kate. I know Tamron. Like,
Yeah.
we're buddies.
just
And,
good, yeah.
and they're like,
I just need to scan this right quick.
yeah, they're like, no realtor comes back here and
Yeah.
scans their own licenses. And I was like, hi.
I know. I'm over here like,
Yeah.
I've never been past the closing rooms.
Oh, that's me. I walk right on back. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh, you
hey,
haven't?
like
Oh, I did.
No.
I work there.
They're too
Oh, yeah.
fancy for
Yeah.
me. I close there, but like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sit here in this big old chair and wait for my clients. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Oh, I just
'Cause
go on
I-
back.
I'd
I'm
other-
just
like,
nosy.
my
You
other
can
one,
come
I-
visit. I have a chair in my office.
Oh.
Like in my cubby.
I don't even know where your office is.
There's a chair.
I need a field trip.
It's past the copiers. Just keep just.
I
Yeah.
don't know where
It's
the
not
copier is.
that
Just
big.
ask Kaisley at the front desk. Hey, can you take me to Tamron's cubby?
Yeah. See, I just
She'll bring you.
I never been back there. I didn't know it
Come
was
with
like
Kate.
a okay
She knows
thing.
where it's at.
Yeah, I'll come. I also know that there's a closing room that they don't use that they house all their sweatshirts in, and they have the best sweatshirts. They're like blankets on the inside. And I got like an
I've
extra
seen
large.
you wear that.
It's so good.
I need to get one of
They
those.
are nice. We would love for y'all to advertise. Like, we'll
I mean, I
ask
could have
for-
wore it today.
You could have, yeah.
But But I wore this instead.
Well, yeah, Brooke Hansen. She's amazing. She's our marketing person, and she has like amazing taste in everything. Like it's impeccable. It's
Yes.
ridiculous.
It's unfair how good she looks on
Yes.
a daily basis.
Right?
That's funny.
Hey,
Right.
Brooke.
Like she's so.
Hey, Brooke, I
like,
need a makeover.
if I didn't love her, I'd probably hate her.
Yeah.
Like for real.
that
Yeah.
one.
She's that one. But
she's
so
heart of
nice.
gold.
I was
Heart
gonna
of
say,
gold.
but it's not like yes, she has outward beauty, but she literally shines from the inside.
Yes,
Yes.
she does. 100%.
She genuinely
That is
loves,
such a nice compliment.
Yeah, she's great. She genuinely
too.
loves
Maybe one day.
all of her people.
You on
That's
some days.
great.
Yeah, yeah,
She's all right.
yeah. She's great, and she's the one who does the sweatshirts. So of course, she buys good ones because
Yeah.
she wants to put something on her body that feels good too.
Yeah.
Right.
It matters.
So she gets the good stuff.
She does.
So like if you ever need
Nice.
marketing stuff and you want to advertise for Home Abstract, when you're going to the Board of Realtors stuff or like wherever.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
happen to be around other realtors.
Or you're going to be on a podcast that other people might see.
Yeah.
And you want to wear the Home Abstract
Yeah.
logo,
Yes.
like collar, and
Yeah.
like
Yes.
she'll make it happen. We got ball caps. We got
I do have a black
sweatshirts,
one.
T-shirts. Yeah.
I
She
do have
does.
one.
She gets really good stuff.
She
Yeah.
does get
Yeah,
good
Brooke-
stuff.
Brooke's your girl for that, for sure.
And Tamron's the girl for title.
And
Tamron
yeah,
for title.
Yep.
I feel like we should make sides.
You need someone to talk to dead people. That's me.
Yeah.
Dead people.
Also
Yeah.
inform husbands that, hey, your side piece can have this condo if your wife says it's okay.
Yep. Or like the widow, the grieving widow, like we have to tell her, hey, guess what? Like he was married before you and before his first wife. That person that you thought was his first wife, it's actually his second
Second
wife.
wife.
He had a daughter with the first one that he never told you about. But it's okay because they adopted her out. But because the adoption process back in the 70s didn't divest their right to inherit.
How horrible.
Girl, it was a whole thing.
Okay, so
Kay
like
knows.
also we know all your dirty laundry, but
Yes.
we can't talk about it
Yeah.
at that, like we can't say your name, we
No.
can't really say anything about it, but like
We can talk in
we
abstract.
can try,
though.
yeah, we can talk in like context clues.
And there
Like,
legit was a deal where it was a husband and wife. They bought the property together. They were married for like 27 years.
And
Like,
she had no idea there was other
Girl.
spouses and children.
no.
no.
I mean,
want
she
the
knew that there was
tea.
one.
She knew that there was one and they didn't get along.
Right.
They didn't get along.
But she had taken steps. Like after
Right.
her husband died, she was like, no, I went ahead and paid him. Like,
Yes.
we split. He took all of his dad's stuff that he wanted. I gave him money. Like, he's out. He's
Uh-huh.
good. Well, okay. So, but they didn't. He didn't have a will. There was no probate. So we have to do an affidavit of heirship. Well, she was like, I'm not really sure about the dates. And this woman, she was so sweet. Like, and I felt so bad for her. But I'm like, it's fine. Like, I'll research the dates. Like, I got on Ancestry.com. They've got marriage licenses available, death certificates, like all kinds, birth certificates, death certificates. Ancestry.com is a great tool to use for that. So I'm researching, just trying to get the dates. Where they got married, when they got married, where they got divorced, when they got divorced. And I was like, hey, that's weird. Like, his name was kind of different. Like, it's unique. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. Like, who's this person? Like, he was married at this point. Maybe it's a different person with the same name. Maybe not. So I asked, I'm like, are you sure he was not married before that other lady? And she's like, no, I'm sure. I was like, okay, well, as far as affiance go for this, like, does he have any siblings around that are still living? And she's like, oh, yeah, like my sister-in-law, she lives over here in Robinson. And I was like, can I have her number? She's like, sure. So I call his sister, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm working on this. Can you tell me, like, was he ever married to a person by this name? And she was like, yes. And I said,
So
Busted.
nobody told the wife. Poor wife.
girl, no. 27 years. No one mentioned it. She was like, well, that was when he was in Vietnam, and he doesn't really like to talk about that time in his life, And I was like, okay, well, I also found a divorce
We're
from
going
that same
to talk about it
person.
right now, though.
Yeah, the divorce states that he had a daughter with her. Like, can you confirm that? And she was like, well, he always said that daughter wasn't his. And I was like, okay, but
It doesn't matter right now.
divorce addresses it. The
Right.
divorce orders him to pay child support
Yeah.
for this
It's
girl.
his.
Like, it's his. Well, subsequent to that, his first wife had remarried, and her second husband adopted the daughter, right? Well, this
Plot
was back in the
thickens.
early 70s.
Yeah.
that does like that like nowadays if you do a termination and an adoption, they address that because there has been a case where someone like this is how laws get changed. Somebody sues.
Right, of course.
Almost
Yeah.
always
how our
that's the
contracts
case,
get
right?
changed.
Yeah. So someone sues and they're like, well, I was adopted, but then after that my parents went on to like build this, fortune or whatever.
Empire, yeah.
And I didn't get the choice to say I didn't want a piece of that, so I'm going to sue for what I should have inherited. And so when someone sues and wins, that's when they're like, oh, hey, like we need to change this to protect people in the future. So these days, when you do a termination and an adoption, they terminate the child's right to inherit also, typically.
Interesting.
So sometimes, in that particular case, we had to find the termination.
I remember that.
We had
I
to,
completely forgot about that deal.
Yeah, girl.
There's some that you black out because they're
They're
so
so
stressful.
traumatic.
They're so traumatic that you're like,
it's a trauma
"Never again."
block.
Yeah.
You're like,
I need to get out. I need to get out of real estate. And I had a lot of those like back to back to back. Like I had a lot of really
Fun.
hard ones
Yeah.
where Tamron and I were like on the phone at 2 a.m.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
I'm like almost in tears. I'm like, I can't do it anymore.
Oh my god.
So, in that particular case, they both lawyered up. Like the widow got a lawyer, the
Daughter got
adopted out daughter got a lawyer. She got paid.
She did. She ended up getting paid. It wasn't a ton, but she ended up getting paid, and the wife was pissed.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's
would have
not.
been too, honestly.
She was cursing her dead husband.
I was gonna say, and I actually kind of told her that. I was like, I understand that like this is raw for you, but like try to put yourself in the other person's.
Not the child's fault.
It's not like she was a baby. It's
Yeah.
not her
No,
fault.
and she didn't even know the property existed. Like she didn't care. She just
Well,
wanted
she
the
did
money.
actually.
Oh, that's
So-
right. She ended up knowing, but she
She
was
did.
like hiding in the bushes or something. I don't know.
She was in mortgage lending, so she understood how inheritance worked, how title worked.
She was just sitting waiting.
She worked. Yeah, she was sitting and waiting, for her. The rest of the story, like it gets stickier. Like this is fun.
Yes.
Like this is like, so
We could write a book.
her biological dad, like we're gonna call him her biological dad, because they never did
paternity
they
test or
didn't
whatever.
do any of that. That was one of the things that was on the table. Was like, well, we want a paternity test. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm getting my full half. When I prove that I am the daughter, that's kind of like how she was feeling about it.
It's a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really, truly. So
Well, and I remember when she had called me for the first time. She got my phone number,
The daughter.
the daughter, and she was ugly to me. And I was
Yeah.
like, she was cursing
You
at
know-
me, and I was like, ma'am, I don't make that decision, and I'm not making it so that my client is trying to force you out of any money.
Right.
This is not of my control.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I have no control over who gets how much money. Zero.
yeah, and you've got to keep in mind, like when you're dealing, like sometimes like sticky situations like that, like you're not talking about just facts. You're talking about feelings too. Like
Well,
this
yeah.
child had, like
Abandonment
issues.
Well, yeah.
So it gets even worse because her biological dad's dad married her biological mother's
Yes.
sister.
Yep.
So for family, yes.
This family tree is ugly.
Yeah,
It is
right.
It is
super
fucked
gross.
up. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, like,
Yes, but for this child's life, like her formative years, right, until she was like 10 when her bio grandpa died, like she was at family reunions with all of these people. She was at Christmases and
And
family
no one told
functions.
her
No,
about-
they did. Her
did. She
her
knew.
grandfather, like her bio grandfather, the dad that abandoned her, her like his father had told her, like you're my granddaughter, like yes, I'm your uncle, but I'm actually your grandfather. Like he had told her all of this. They had a close relationship.
She had
for
a
time.
lot of disdain for her dad,
Yes.
and that's how she was going to stick it to him.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really to him.
Yeah, no, it was to his
It was
widow.
It was to his widow.
Who
Right.
also was kind of screwed on the deal because, he didn't tell her, which is basically a lie by omission, So, yeah, it was.
That might make me want to get a shovel and dig his monkey ass
That's
up.
what I said. I was like, if you want to be mad at somebody, like, be mad
Yes.
at him because,
He'll
he
keep
did
his
this to
head
both of
stunk.
you. Like, if he had just done a will and it had been probated, like,
It
we
would've
could have
changed.
avoided all of that. Like,
so if
we
you're
could have
cheating on
avoided all of that.
your families and not telling the truth, just get a will and then probate it.
Tell him to probate it.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
one executor.
You have to probate it within 4
Yes,
years.
give the executor power to sell, full power to sell.
Yes.
I mean,
Do
like,
all
there
of the
are
things.
certain-
Here's your
yeah,
to-do list if you want to
Yes.
get away with it.
Yeah.
Call Tamron.
Call Tamron.
Hashtag
Although
Tamron
I'm not
title.
an attorney. I mean, I'm not an attorney.
No,
and-
but she's got a lot of good
But
connections.
she has a checklist for you to look
yeah,
at.
yeah. Like I
That's
don't
what
want
I
anybody
do.
to think I'm practicing law because I'm not.
No.
I'm just giving examples of things that I've seen.
I forgot. Oh, that was
And-
definitely a blacklisted deal in my
Yeah.
head until you very roughly brought that up to me. And I was like, when you first started talking about it, I'm like, why does this
sounds
sound
familiar.
Like, this sounds familiar. And then the more you talked about it, and I was like, oh,
Oh yeah, that was mine.
that was mine.
That's why, like,
It was really painful what you just said.
yeah. And I use I use these examples all the time because like these are like deals that like truly were like you just never know what's going to happen.
No.
No.
Like,
Every deal is
title-
different.
Every deal is different. Yeah.
Every
you
single
learn.
one. I learned
Yeah.
so much just in title.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
I-
I could be like, someone would be like, what's this question? I'll break it down for you, and they'll be like, but you can call title.
Yeah.
Are you sure? I'm sure, but you can call title.
Yeah. They're probably going to tell you the same thing because
You-
that's
just
where I
call
learned
title.
it from.
I learned it from
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
Yeah.
How you know it goes this way? I learned it from them.
Yep.
Yep.
But then people ask like on social media, and I'm like, I'm not answering that. But I
Yeah.
read the comments. I'm like, you're wrong. You're
you're
wrong.
wrong,
You're wrong.
wrong.
You're really fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Wow, this looks bad. I'm gonna go now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every once in a while, like I'll be like, I'll be helpful.
No.
Yeah. And then I'm like,
You can't be because then it turns into you don't know what you're talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Social media bullies.
yeah.
So
Keyboard warriors.
Yep.
All the things.
Yep.
I'm so glad. Like I learned today.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
you came.
That's
Me
the
too.
point of it, right?
Yeah.
Me too. Well, I mean, the point of it for like, do I really need to learn anymore? No, I'm just kidding.
no, but you
I
got
just
to
miss
all
you
of
people.
us.
That's
Yeah.
always so much.
Yeah. And the
I just miss you
surprise.
people, and,
And
the
a
surprise was
surprise.
amazing.
Yeah.
I got you a breakfast burrito too. It's
That's
probably
so
cold by
awesome.
now, but
That's okay.
it's from Liao's.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I bet
love
Home
it.
Abstract has a microwave.
I bet they have a microwave here
Oh,
too.
maybe.
On the 16th.
On the
floor.
16th floor, yeah. So
Well, I don't think I'm gonna traipse down to the 16th floor and be like, hey, I'll just take it with me.
okay.
I'll like, I
Good.
mean, I'll take it to work.
I so
I'll have it
appreciate.
for lunch probably.
I so appreciate you coming.
I appreciate
Thanks.
you.
I appreciate y'all inviting me.
I could talk to you for hours.
I
feel
know.
like.
Yeah.
We could talk about a lot of other deals that I've blacklisted in my brain.
Yeah, you
But-
guys bring the good ones.
But
But you know what though? Like
That's
those
true.
are
I learned
really-
the most.
Those are the ones that you learn from.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, also
those
true.
are lessons that you don't forget.
No, that's
for real.
Oh yeah.
And that's trust.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of my clients are like, oh, she really knows what she's talking about. I'm like,
Yeah.
because I've really been
Yeah.
through the shit.
Yeah, I've been through this. Yeah.
I dug myself out of the shitter this morning just to be here. Literally.
Yep. Go ahead and open title. Let's do a listing agreement. We'll go ahead and open
Yep.
up title. That way it's done, and then when you guys, get an offer, you can be like, hey, title's already open over here.
I love when I hear that. Title's already open.
Yeah. Because then there's not like anything that's going to jump out at you. It's already there.
Yes.
Like you
Yep.
get to see it.
Especially when you
faster.
know when you're dealing with dead people or
Yeah.
divorce, especially when it's an ugly
Yeah.
divorce.
Mhm.
I usually am like, we just need to go ahead and put this with the title company.
Yeah.
If the judge isn't mandating a specific title company,
Right.
we need to put it with the title company.
Yep.
So
That's good.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank y'all for
Thank you.
having
Thank
me.
you.
He's sleeping.
We'll see you guys next time.
This has been Real Estate Misfit Moms. Don't forget to follow us on socials at Real Estate Misfit Moms and bookmark our podcast so you never miss an episode. Remember, miss, you fit in here.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.